Hello, and welcome to another session of making a creature or monster on stream. I haven't really done much of this for the past 7 years except for yesterday. If you're here joining me on my quest, I got headphones on so that the audio does not get pulled away. Hey Eric, thanks for joining in. If you see me bouncing around a little bit, it's just because I'm jamming out to my jams and dancing along to what I'm doing. What I did yesterday was I started on this creature. I had a cardboard base that I built the framework out of, like a lot of people may do for puppetry. Usually I use a styrofoam base, but I wanted to mix it up and try something different. This is the rough sketch of kind of what I'm looking at doing. I am using Magic Sculpt, a 2-part epoxy. Gotta wear gloves. Should probably have, good ventilation, but I'm not going to stick around in my print shop for very long after I get things going with this. So I'm going to get some gloves and get going. Gloves. I'm hoping to get the tentacle tongues inside, start building out more of the texture and stuff along the jaw, build out some teethy teeths, maybe some spikes on the back of the head. Hopefully really get the rest of the sculpting done on this so that I can get some painting going in the next, maybe over the weekend, depending on how things pan out. But I wanted to get back to doing some of the wall-mounted taxidermy like I used to do, but do it a little more sci-fi-ish, maybe stuff that will fit into the Vast Grimm universe. And then I was looking at this and I'm like, this really is just starting to look like a Turgis worm, which, you know, after you do so many things, eventually sometimes your stuff just all starts to look the same. So maybe I may have to go and grab some stuff like some Gundam stuff for kit bashing and start adding in some tech into this as I start making it squishy and putting the Magic Sculpt down. Ooh, I need to get better about making sure stuff doesn't stick to the table at the end of the day. Whoopsies. So, as I had mentioned, I am using Magic Sculpt. This is a 2-part epoxy. You've got the resin, and this resin is dyed black. That was just me not paying attention and rushing through the shopping process, because I don't like to shop online. It just brings me no joy, and I just missed it. It's fine. It just makes my hands makes the gloves a little black, gets things like the base from me touching it, gets it a little black just because it's got dye on it. Makes it, being a messy creator, gets dye on other things too. I'm going to get equal parts of resin and equal parts hardening agent. And then I'll mix those together until they are one unified color. I'm going to start out with like a little smaller than a baseball. 198. Now for the resin, makes all the good sounds as it starts sticking together to the gloves. So as you can see, pretty close in size. I think this one's a little bit more. I'll pinch off a little bit and drop it back in my bucket. Close these up, seal them up nice and tight, because that is the stuff that kicks out the fumes. Then you're just going to make a little coil of each one and start twisting them together. I should have went ahead and got some of the Gundam kit pieces around here. I think I've got some down here in the print shop. I know there's a lot up in my home office. Put that coil down there while I roll this one out. But I really enjoyed, dropsies. I really enjoyed sculpting again yesterday. It's been too long since I've made creatures, so I'm hoping I can get back to this on a semi-regular basis. Plus it gives me more things to photograph and put into layouts. Sometimes I have to be a little more methodical about what I'm making and not just making it for me. Although I like making it for me the most. But if I know that I have a book that I'm working on, sometimes I have to think about what's going to be in it. And you can start to see that they're starting to come together, but they're nowhere near ready. You need to not see any gray. That is at least one nice thing about this, that they only dye one of the two agents so that it makes it easy to see when they blend together. One benefit if you're doing it just like this black, a lot of times you can apply paint directly to it. You don't really have to prime it. I tend to prime it just in case I missed any little nooks and crannies, like I filled out the inside of the mouth with some aluminum foil, and I know there's going to be stuff that maybe my fat hands just can't get into. But once we get this magic sculpt all mixed together, then the fun starts beginning. And on the radio. I need to find music that is, just because I'm new to streaming again, because it's been so long, I need to find music that I can actually play in the background and not just have it in my head looking like I'm listening to crazy sounds moving around. But this morning I was dragging ass. I was supposed to dance for an hour, and right around the 40-minute mark I was like, yeah, I think I'm done for the day. Alright, we're starting to look pretty good. There's still some little strands in there, so I'm going to mix it a little bit more. Hello, friend, you're too close to my face. Okay, now we've got a big wad of Magic Sculpt. I'm going to set it down on the base. I think towards the end of the day, yesterday, I made these little popsicles of tentacles, right? These are tentacle tongues that are going to go into the mouth, stick out. I think I want to go ahead and sculpt the tongue part, at least on one, jam it in, see how much space it starts to take up. Or maybe first, probably smarter, I should start to put some Magic Sculpt deep inside the mouth cavity so there's something to anchor it to, because once I start putting it in, my hand's already having problems getting in. I think I'm going to have to cut this cardboard off. Actually, I should just go ahead and cut that cardboard off because I'm going to have to jam stuff up in there anyway, right? Does the Magic Sculpt air cure? Yes, it does. If you use it, wear gloves for sure. Try and do it in a well-ventilated area. I used to do this in my home office, and I'd sculpt, and then I would just turn around and I'd start doing graphic design on my computer, and it totally wrecked my sinuses. I had to have a whole lot of sinus surgery, and it was awful. So the only reason I'm doing it inside here now is because I know once I'm done, I'm going to go up to my home office, I'm going to let it cure here, and I'm only going to be huffing it in for a couple, probably like 2 hours max. If I was doing like a really big sculpture and spending a lot more time on it, I would be doing it outside. Last year I was doing some of that where I was doing it more like on my outside porch, but hot damn, it gets warm in Georgia in the summer, especially when you're trying to do some sculpting and stuff on the outside. Okay, so now that he's got no upper teeth and he looks like he needs his dentures, we are going to go ahead and put some Magic Sculpt in. I'm just going to take it, I'm going to flatten it out, right? Just a thin layer. I don't need a lot there, especially once it starts to cure. Like, this stuff hardens up really good. The only shakiness of this is from the cardboard that's underneath. But now that I've taken those teeth away, I have a little more wiggle room for my hands to get in here, which is good. I'm just going to start pushing this down and flattening it out. And then eventually I'll probably even put a little bit of texture in there as well, just so that when I go to paint it on the inside, just kind of quick dry brushing and stuff, it'll be easy to get a little bit of detail. So with this, going in here, knowing that there is the aluminum foil matching up against the wall of the cardboard, I want to get that in there, and then I'm going to try and smooth it into it so that it will help connect and adhere the two together and make them into one structured piece. Sometimes when you're doing slightly smaller pieces like this, depending on the size of your hand fists, it makes it a little more difficult. But I'll get that in, and then we'll blend it all together. We'll We'll end up squirting some water in to really smooth it down. That's one of the awesome things about Magic Sculpt. A little bit of water goes a long way and can really blend things together. Even if something has hardened for a long period of time, you can still make it look like it's all part of the same. Once cured, how difficult is it to carve, like with a hobby knife? I would not use a hobby knife. I would use like a Dremel or something like that. It's pretty damn rigid. But you have a few hours where it's still pliable. And especially if you wait a little bit longer, but you still squirt it with some water, water makes it a lot easier for your tools to not snag into it. Out of all the different things I've tried, I really love Magic Sculpt a lot. I dig monster clay, but only if you're going to be doing casting and like doing molds and stuff like that. And most of the time, I don't really want to do molds. I want to do one-offs and then be done. I like doing one of a kind and then moving on most of the time. Okay, I think won't take too long to build this out. We're probably going to end up using all of this first batch of Magic Sculpt just filling in the mouth hole. Yeah, like if I wanted to carve into the stuff that cured from yesterday, Eric, it'd be a challenge for sure. Okay, hand going in. Certainly more difficult to get my hand back in here. But that's okay. Probably using a little bit more Magic Sculpt than I need just because I can't maneuver the space quite as well. Okay, I'm gonna set this Magic Sculpt this bit down. I'm gonna flip him upside down so that I can get inside the head. Should have mashed this out a little bit more, but that's okay. Because I want to get this along the top of there's cardboard along the top of the head. Come on, fat hands, let's see. One of the things, it's good that I'm doing this now before I put anything else on the rest of it that is soft and pliable, because I have a tendency to just allow my hands to move into stuff that's still soft and wreck the textures and details that I've already put in. We don't want to do that. Why is it not getting cooler? I want this AC kicking. I've got the like mini split unit right above me, so like air should be blasting in my face. Yesterday it was nice and cool, but then I kicked it up earlier today when I came down to the print shop. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to be using almost all of this Magic Sculpt just to build out the foundation inside the mouth cavity. And then what will end up happening is I'll end up spray painting inside of there, and you won't be able to tell from once the tentacle tongues are in and all that stuff, you won't be able to tell how much actual stuff is not finished that far back. Though I should probably hide the screw that's coming through the back wall. Oh, or shouldn't I? No, if I do that, then I won't be able to break it off unless I clip that screw. Okay, changing plans on that one. All right, let's do a little bit on the top. Okay, now I'm just going to spray some water inside its mouth so I can smooth it down a little bit. Glad I'm getting to do a little bit of this. I did a good bit of writing this morning, and once I'm done with this, hopefully going to get a little more writing done this afternoon. Got so many adventures that must be written, so many tales to be told. And with the water in there, it just allows it to really slide around and just smooth out. Now with this, I'm just going to put some grooves in with my fingers just to give it some texture in there. Then I'll maybe do a couple little, yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna do, because then it'll kind of give it some natural weird ridges inside of the gum line. Then once we come out and start building up the real gums here, I'll start jamming some teeth into it. But first, I think the tentacle tongues will have to go in, but I'll also have to build up this gum line up here a little bit so that it's soft and ready to go for when I sculpted some teeth yesterday, because when they're harder and you got the soft, it's easier to jam it up inside and make it really feel like the gums are kind of going around them. So it's time to already mix up some more Magic Sculpt. But this guy should come together pretty quickly because I did so much work in the less than 2 hours that I was working on him yesterday. Yesterday was busy. We had a fair number of people in the chat hanging out. I don't know if it was just because it was a Thursday and there was a lot less going on, but with prepping for the weekend. I need to, if I'm going to be doing this regularly again, I need to get software to stream to all the different places all at once. Short little fingers are, the gloves are peeling off of them. Again, I think that's relatively close. It's hard to see with the black of the Magic Sculpt on top of the sculpture itself. And again, making coils of the Magic Sculpt so that the two can be intertwined and become one. Yeah, so we'll do the tentacles next, then we'll start doing the gum line, then we'll jam those tentacles in, then we'll jam some teeth in there. We'll start to see some more personality come through on this beastie. Whoopsies. Love this song, but the outro on it is just so long, and now my gloves got all the dye on them. Ooh, got it with the knuckle. And then after that, after the teeth and the tentacle tongues and the facial personality, probably move on to the backside a little bit so that the face can start to cure up before really going in and starting doing some more definition on the lower lip and the front, like the jaw itself, or the chin, I'm sorry, because the chin's going to need some definite texture and depth and add to the profile a little bit, you know, to kind of come out a bit and give it some interesting shape and definition. That's one of the things, like when I was watching Face Off on Sci-Fi years and years ago, I'd always kind of pay attention to like the comments they'd make about the profiles of like the headpieces and the figures and things like that. Trying to look at the creatures from different perspectives and different angles is very important. A lot of times the front view just straight on is kind of boring and dull, but looking at it 3/4 or from the side view, that's where I really love to see it shine. So as you can see, there's still some gray up in there. Just got to keep it going. And I moved my whole computer setup around a little bit since yesterday, just so that my extra monitor was right there. I guess I should have done that. Well, didn't think about that. Okay. There we go. Don't always think ahead about all this stuff, especially jumping back into it. There we go. Almost there. A couple little strands of gray still in here, so I'll try and give it another tweak or two. Okay, let's make some tentacle tongues. Taking this little, it's just I cut it out of cardboard, attached it to a part of a chopstick while, to let that cure up, and that was all that was done yesterday. Now today, we will totally build it out. With this, you can just do like coils like you would do with Play-Doh as a child or as an adult, you know. It's totally cool to play with toys as an adult, as is the story of my life. Just kind of, you know, the cardboard in here is going to start to feel very soft and bendy. You want to give it enough structure around it so it starts to feel like its own thing. Do it along the base, start to build it up, make it thicker and fatter. And then we'll end up adding some texture to it of some sort, doing some grooves in it, or maybe stippling it to, maybe we'll give it almost like taste buds. Since I haven't used cardboard before as a base, I'm curious. I'm hoping this holds up, because a lot of times with something like this, I'd use like wire in there to try and give it a little more strength and stability. But really, it just needs the Magic Sculpt to cure. And once it cures, it's going to be solid, and it will, I mean, this thing's pretty heavy already. One, I don't want it to be too heavy that it ends up snapping down inside of the mouth of this beast. Again, just making a little coil, twisting it around. I definitely need for the next batch to get the gray, so it's just easier to see on screen, just so much more visible. Now, I'm going to go ahead and spray water just into my hand, and then I'll just kind of smooth it out. And then once it's all smoothed out, then I can start figuring out some textures. And this here, I can feel how rigid it is, because that's where it actually cured the day before. I'll kind of just blend these together, make a happy little tentacle. And this doesn't have to be perfect, because I am then going to take it into Photoshop. I'm going to or Affinity Photo, and I'm going to bash it up. I'm going to, like, none of my stuff has to be super perfect, because I beat the hell out of it. Let's see. Okay. So this one's kind of like a little dampening tool. Like, you might like put a little bit of putty into your, or like a little bit of filling into a tooth, and this, you can, I don't know if you'll be able to tell from there, but it's starting to get kind of little dimples in it, much like taste buds. I'm doing that because then once if I want to dry brush this, it'll be super fast, right? I'll be able to do one color on it, then I'll be able to pop back in with some highlights, and it will quickly start to be textured and look pretty rad. And I can, in a short amount of time, just tap, 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 and be ready to go. Hey Eric, what's happening, man? It's good to have you hanging out. I'm just making some weird tentacle tongues for this little monster creature. It's been too long since I've done stuff like this on Vidya. What's been going on with you since the GaryCon? going to give this another little spritz of water just to make it a little easier to get the taps of it into. And since this is dry, I can even tap it against here, and it's not going to mess anything up on the on this part of the monster. Make it a little easier to maybe see the fast details I'm throwing in. And Eric, if I get back into doing this on the regular, I should probably pick your brain because you are super knowledgeable on all things streaming. All right, so that's one. I'm going to go ahead and see what happens if I try and jam it into some of the Magic Sculpt I've got. Now, so it's kind of sticking through. It's not really sitting on anything, but that's okay. I'm going to just kind of let it rest there because then I'll maybe put some teeth around it and I'll figure out how to anchor it in as we get a little bit further. Maybe I'll go ahead and anchor it in a little bit now while my hand may actually fit in there a bit. That sounds like a smarter plan. Whoops. I forget, sometimes I can be smart and use tools, right? Main thing is I don't want to, there we go. Just gently putting that into the mouth. And if I blend that in, I can even have that make it look like that's part of the tentacle tongue, and that will make it work out even better. So I'm going to squirt a little water in there to make it easier to smooth down. Design work and getting ready to do some recording for the Kickstarter. Excellent. This looks like a big piece. It looks big just because of the proximity to the video camera. It is not actually a very large, I mean, especially compared to a lot of my other monster heads. But thank you about being welcome to pick your brain. How's the Kickstarter going right now? Okay, so I've got that in there. It feels like it's blended in pretty well. So I'm going to now take that same tool that I was using to tamp down and give details to make it look like it's got taste buds on the tentacle tongue, and do that in there so it continues on and looks like it belongs. Dental tools are great for detail sculpting. Yes, I've had these for quite some time and I love them. Okay, so now coming around, yes, it's starting to get personality. That's going to be good, especially once I start to jam some teeth down in there. But let's get these other two tongues done, and then we'll go from there. And maybe next one will be the opposite direction. I think that'll be good. Again, just building off of the cardboard and chopstick tentacles from yesterday's quest. Let's get some hello light on the monster. No. There we go, at least until I'm back in it. Putting a little coating on each side of the Magic Sculpt, then just start to pinch it together around the sides. Then once I get some water on it, it'll smooth it out, and we'll have it ready to go in no time. Okay, I've got most of it covered. There's a little bit of cardboard showing through, but I think now at this point I can probably smooth it around once it gets wet and drive it around. So I'm going to take that, going to spray right in my hand as to not spray on my computer, my sketchbook, not too much on the table. The table will be fine. Stay in there. And don't crack too much. Just smoothing it out. Trying to make sure to cover up all the cracks, or most of the cracks of that cardboard, so the seam doesn't show through, and allow moisture down in there. So sort of cardboard armature. Yes, that was it's the first time doing something like that, but I know a lot of people do that for puppetry, and it keeps it lighter. And prior to this, I'd mainly done styrofoam bases, but I used cardboard and cut it so that I could bend it and create it in different ways. I shared a post on Instagram with like a video of it where it was just the cardboard armature, but just trying to explore different options to see how to make the monsters. And then I cut out a piece of wood for the back, and then I glued it in with wood glue so that it would have a foundation to be able to anchor it into something. Pretty good. Arcane Library added it to their newsletter. Oh, that's great. Hopefully that gave it a decent bump. They do have a great fan base and great community around Shadow Dark. Today I just sent out emails to a bunch of folks that are participating in my group project that's going to be dropping in September. I'm excited to hopefully get confirmations from all the folks that I sent it to that they are still in and interested. Okay. This creature reminds me a bit of the little baby monsters in Titan X, the new Monarch series. Shit. I started watching the first season with my son, and we were thoroughly enjoying it, and then something came up, and we haven't gotten back to it, which I need to get back to, because we were digging it. Maybe that's next after we finish what we're currently watching. Just need to remember to keep that on the top of my radar. Especially then I'm heading to Austin next Thursday, so traveling so much in March and then Origins in June starts to disrupt everything while still trying to get all my other projects done. Okay, so now there's lots of little divots and dimples in that thing, which I think is gonna give it. Oh, I wanted to do it this way. Let's see if I can jam this in and not mess up what I just did. Ooh. Just have that sit there like that. Okay, I think that's working okay. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to try and fit my hand in there to kind of anchor it in even more, but we shall see. Yeah. But once I do watch it, I will look for oh, stoked to see all of the stuff in the new Kickstarter. Binders are epic. Thank you. Yeah, we should totally talk printing. I should be printing stuff now, but I haven't even fired it up since being back from PAX East. I will be printing a couple things before I head to Austin. But then after I'm back, I've got to start printing all of that last Kickstarter. I've got a lot of the. I think I have 4 of the 7 zines completed, like ready to print. I have one that I just got the manuscript approved today, and some of the layouts done. So I've got to do the rest of the layout, and so that would be 5. So then I just have to finish the one that's part fiction, part adventure, and then one that's an adventure one. I'm super excited to get that out the door and into people's hands. So now I'm starting to take up so much space in here. It's going to be more and more difficult to add the gum line in to start jamming teeth in, but we will get there. And I also have to know that as long as this is still soft, I can move the tongues if I need to and drop that stuff down underneath. Okay, again, making coils, just like childhood. Let's do this third and final tentacle. quickly adding to it. Let's get a little more. I'm ready to have this third tentacle tongue in here and see what comes next. A lot of the times when sculpting like this, I'll have the base drawing concept, but I allow myself to let it flow how it needs to for the sculpture, because my two-dimensional does not always translate exactly how it should for 3D. Do you have the template margins you need for me getting ready to lay out 2 more zines? Yes, so if you do an A5 size zine, and then I prefer, so if you want to do the square binding, depending on the page count, you need at least 4 millimeters in bleed. If you're doing thicker, I would give it 5 just to be safe, especially cover and like interior cover in like the first couple of pages. But when you export the PDF, it'll just be on the bleed on the exterior, single pages bleed on the exterior, like, so you won't do it on the gutter. The main templates I have is just templates if you wanted to leave space for the holes if you ever wanted to do it battle binder style. So I have the die line with that, so you know what to avoid so nothing goes into the holes. Almost there with this tentacle, just gotta fill in a couple of gaps. Just smoothing it out. Now it's time to give it that texture with the dampening, or whatever this would be called. Pop, 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 pop. I tend to be a little erratic and fast. It doesn't matter, because like the deeper it goes, it's just the more detail that's going to be seen when dry brushing it. I don't think you'll ever overdo it on something like this. Also, I can't remember, are you doing it in color, or is it all going to be like black and white because of it being shadow dark? Or is this something other than the shadow dark stuff? My brain is getting old, and there were so many conversations between Gary Con and PAX East, and then so many miles on the road. Page count is 60 square. Other is normal binding, cover separate. The battle binders are for sure something I'd love to do in the future. Okay. If we're hitting 60 page count, we're looking at probably like 60 weight text on the interior, just for it to be able to feed through my folder area. But I would double check. I'll double check that just to be safe, because once it starts getting heavier, it just gets stuck in every single zine that comes through. I have to manually pull out, and I can't play with that. That's just too much. All right, we got 3 tentacle tongues in here. Rah rah rah. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and do some a little bit of extra underneath here, where the gum line is on the lower jaw, so that I can jam some teeth in there before this sets up too much. And that means I'm gonna have to lift these tentacle tongues up a little bit, even though I've kind of let them already settle. Oh, don't rip too much. Okay. Maybe I should have done this first. Probably. But stay in there. Okay, I totally should have done this first. That's okay. We'll make it work. Okay, just going to give it a little bit of water to make it easier. Then we'll cut some grooves out to make these tongues fit in and feel right. Try not to mess up all the work I've already done. as I mentioned earlier. We'll come back in. We'll do some stuff around the outside. We'll make it look right. I will go back in and make it look right. What the hell am I? Okay, just going to smooth this down a little bit. I definitely always prefer to just use my fingers instead of tools for stuff like this, but sometimes it just cannot be avoided. I like the feel of the magic sculpt on my hands, especially working on with computers so much. Okay, let's see where I can jam a tooth in here and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Now it's going to start to get some personality. Jamming the teeth down, and that's one of the best things about making teeth ahead of time. You can just shove them down in. It starts to feel normal. Breechers, oh yes, black and white with the spot color. And oh yes, we talked about that neon. Okay, you assume 60 weight, fantastic. You know what you're talking about. This is nothing new to you. Let's get you up there, tongue. There we go. Let's see what else. Where else can we jam one over here? Let's stick one in over here. Have it coming out past the tongue. Yeah, that's going to be cool, especially once I build up the lower lip again. You've been doing cardboard armatures for puppets? Helped a shit ton for weight. Yes. So that's totally where I thought about it. Mainly just because looking at some puppetry stuff and thinking about how eventually, I don't know, I've collaborated on one puppet with a local puppet master. I don't know if that's the right term, and I love doing that, but that was years ago. I just like seeing things come to life, and the idea of my weird shit being puppetry and being on stage. Actually, in my Discord, we were talking about a Vasgrim the musical, and it's definitely something that is rolling around in my head as a potential crowdfunding campaign in 2027, if I can write the manuscript for it and do it right and make it the right amount of weird and the right amount of sappy for me. Okay, side profiling, liking the tentacle tongues, especially once I get this chin out, once I get that out, that's going to be good. But now I got to do the top and give it some teeth so it doesn't look like he's got no upper teeth. And now this stuff is all dry, so I can easily mash into it and not worry about messing anything up. All this will blend in super nice and clean. Sorry, tentacle tongue, I don't want to mess you up, my friend, but my fat fingers need to get all up in here. A little bit more. Been wanting a beholder puppet for a few years. Use it for streaming and for live events. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Especially if you could control all the eye stalks and have them appear as though they're moving independently, even if I'm certain that they would not be. That would be fantastic. At Gen Con, there's the one table that has like the wall-mounted taxidermy puppets, and I finally ended up getting one 2 years ago. I was worried that I wasn't going to make enough money last year at the booth because I had sublet half of my booth out and only had a 10 by 10, so I did not buy a second one. But this year, I need another one for the house. Especially already being a big fan of monster taxidermy. having it in that puppet style is super cute and super rad. Just smoothing this down a little bit. We'll come back in and add some texture after we jam some teeth up in here. Just need some teeth in the top. Got to look at things from every which way. Gonna have to come back in and add some down there, but let's see if we got some smaller teeth to. Now we need. Let's do a bigger one up here. There we go. Jam it in, like putting that magic sculpt in there gives it a foundation to sink into. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to paint the in between all the spots. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna have to tilt you back. See if I can. Tweezers, tweezers, tweezers. Nope, tweezers are upstairs, and I'm not running up into the house to do this. I'm gonna find a way to make this tooth go in. I think. Come on. Nope. Oh, gonna lose a tooth. It's gonna fall back into its mouth. What will happen? Oh, yep, there it goes. Okay, that's not working. I know. Let's give it a little bit something to anchor onto. Let's give it a little bit of magic sculpt around it. Then I'll jam it up in there. Further back and pull it forward. There we go. Ugh. Yes. Okay. That worked, but now he's got like a little snarl tooth in the front. Yeah, there's some ways to do that. Cables and a hand rig. Found the simpler you make it, the better. Oh yeah, totally. That makes sense. Learned a ton from Perception Studio team. Awesome. Very cool. Okay, Snaggle, come back. Need to. Okay, time to use the tool to pull that tooth back up. There we go. All right. Move this tongue. Unfurl that. Uncurl it, not unfurl. Getting there with this guy. It's okay if his teeth don't all look right. I'm sure some of them got bumped around when attacking different things. Different things he's trying to eat. Got 2 more teeth. Am I going to use them? Or am I going to leave it as is? Let's see. Hopefully they will stay in and not fall out as it cures. It's got a good amount of teeth. Kind of pretty happy with that at the moment. Yes, I've been using pieces of chopsticks for things, and then I do have a pair of chopsticks, like nice wooden chopsticks that I use for getting certain things that when they jam inside the printer, I use those to extract things. They're a great resource. Shark teeth aren't perfectly straight. Good, very good point. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna give this some grooves in the lips, as though the lips are kind of cracked a bit. Also continuing down what I sculpted before to blend in the dry and the wet of the magic sculpt, make it seem harmonious. All right, I'm pretty happy with how that's coming out. I want this little curl of the tongue to be a little more Aeon Fluxy. Definitely has an underbite thing going on. The light, the black just soaks up the light. Rawr. Okay, I'm gonna add some down here. I know I said I'd start working on the back of the head, but I'm ready to kind of build out like a lower lip almost to give a little more definition, make the teeth seem like they're actually inset. Jar of chopsticks at your crafting station. I think if I continue to stream down here and continue to sculpt in this spot, I'm going to end up building it out. Like I just kind of decided on a lark yesterday that it's like, all right, it's really time for me to sculpt again. my heart has been full from going to the conventions and seeing the con family, but now like I need this side of my creative brain to I need that scratched, because I've been doing so much of the writing and the graphic design stuff. This has kind of fell by the wayside, and since this is really how I started in the industry, it feels like I need more of this in my life. So I just was like, all right, let's jump in and see what happens. And plus, like now when I do the wall mounted stuff with these guys, I want to put LEDs in, and I want to work in weird, make it weird sci-fi wall mounts, as though maybe I'll create some like weird creature hunter class in Vasgrim, and then add these to the lore, the different heads that are hunted. Okay, now. Conventions just make me feel really creative when I come home, and I agree, hands-on sculpting and building scratches something different. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think like something about Gary Con, seeing so many people that I've made friends with over the years, just made that it was such a good show mentally. And it was very weird going from that to PAX East, where there's so much of the video game and streaming team where it's just, most of those folks are very new to me. The tabletop scene was so much smaller. But it's always awesome to then go and make new friends and find other people who love weird, nerdy stuff. Do I like that? I don't know. That's kind of weird. Let's bring that down through. Sometimes I need to just take a dance step back from it and figure out how I want to build it out a little bit differently. Create the shapes a little more. And now it's where I'm getting clay on both sides, so I need to make sure whatever I'm doing is not messing up what I'm putting down. Although I haven't put any texture in yet, but I'll be doing that soon. Almost feels like he's got a weird freaking goatee thing going on. I guess maybe drop it down while I'm working down on the lower jaw. There we go. Yeah, gonna spray it again. Let's come in with some grooves, and then we'll come in with some smashing and mashing, see what happens. Dry lips. Needs water on the lips. What's up, Spoiled Peaches? Thank you for joining today's quest. The critter's coming together pretty well. Okay, now I'm going to see about putting some texture in it. So up in the top area of the head, I just used this texture map that I got at like a Michael's store years ago. A lot of times I'll use like a rock that I found from the yard and jam it in there. Since it's wet and pliable, I should be able to just push down. It's going to like mash in some of the grooves that I put in, so I may have to go back and re-groove it a little. But I kind of wanted to see how it fit. Now with this, once I start throwing paint down, it'll quickly add texture and definition without having to do a really good paint job. Okay, he's starting to come together. I like his teeth. I think his chin's okay for now. I'm gonna have to build up like under the chin a little bit, but I just got a little bit of Magic Sculpt before I make some more. Definitely has a super underbite. Okay, I'm just gonna drop this in and then we'll mix up some more Magic Sculpt. I need to be mindful of what's soft and what has cured. This is cured. This is soft down here, but I'm just gonna mash it in with my thumb, and then I'll spray some water and smooth it out and blend it in so it looks like it's all one continuous form. Blend that in. Blend, blend, blend. Now I'm going to go ahead, while it's still soft and wet, I'm going to take that same texture, find a good place to hang on to, like up here I know is dry, and just give a little bit of texture in here, just so it all flows. Okay, now it's time to make some more Magic Sculpt. Then we'll come over to this side, build out that underside, then we'll work our way to the back. We're going to finish this beastie up today, at least for the sculpting bits. Okay, Magic Sculpt. For anybody that's new and just recently tuned in, it is a two-part air drying epoxy, part resin, part hardening agent. We're going to mix some of that up. I'll bring this up so you can see the beastie a little bit better. We're going to start with the hardening agent because it is the one that does not have dye in it. Now that I'm seeing it from the full-on side profile, right, from where I am, let's turn it for you to see. It has, I feel like I need to build this up a little bit and do like some sort of ridge. I like, the underbite's cool, but I feel like it needs like another like fin or something there. I don't know. A little bit added to the mohawky element. Got that whole ASMR sound of the sticky icky of the Magic Sculpt. Got like a small ball sized. Got to get the same size of the resin. Pretty close. This may be a little bit bigger, but that's okay. As long as they're close. Basically, you get the same amount in each bucket, and you want to work it down at the same rate. Move those out of the way. Then coil it up. The black one, it breaks apart a lot easier, so I'm not trying to do a super long coil. And then just get the two together and then start to work them together. Now I just need to figure out what I'm going to sculpt after this creature. And what I can try and figure out how I'm going to do that with cardboard and do the base of that. I kind of want to go much bigger, like my normal heads. Like this is pretty in between like some of the bigger heads that I've done. This all said and done, this one's only going to be like 10 inches long from the back, not including the plaque that I'll end up making for it, but from the back of the neck to the end of the tongue. Got to keep working it until it is all one unified color. If you get the kind that doesn't have the dye in it, it's still pretty easy to see because it's a light gray and a dark gray. It just doesn't get the dye on your gloves or anything else. Which, if you're new and you're just watching and you're using Magic Sculpt, please wear gloves. Please be in a well-ventilated area. Don't live with it in your face for long, extended periods of time. It does have toxins in it. Almost ready to start making with the sculpting. Okay, since I had mentioned doing a little something to this side profile because I wasn't super happy with how it's flat there and I want to kind of bring it up, I'm going to go ahead and do that so that I can start to see this how I want to see it before I get back into the under the chin doing that lower part. Ooh, and that looks like that needs to be smoothed out too. Okay, looking at it from the side, I'm definitely going to give it like a little spiky hawk, but I don't want to do too much, right? Don't want to overcompensate for it. Always wear gloves with that shit. Yes, always. I used to, like, when I first started out, I was not, and all of a sudden I could start to feel my hands tingling, and I was like, huh, something doesn't feel right. Listen to your body, friends. See if I'm going to like this or if I'm going to hate it. We'll see. Got to spray it down, smooth it out, add some texture, make it look like it belongs. Okay, I think I'm going to like it. I'm going to throw in some of this texture down around the base. Then I'm going to put some grooves up into it, like I have going up into the fins already. I'm going to do it both sides at the same time so that I'm trying to not force it in any one direction. All right, that worked pretty well, I think. Now for some deep grooves. Spray it again with some water, just to make it easy to drag it through. Try not to pierce through it completely since I'm going on both sides. Ooh, I should have sprayed that with water. It made it slower and harder to drag through. Sorry, I'll do over. I'm trying not to apply too much pressure on the backside so it doesn't smash in this pressure and the design that was just pressed into it. Okay, I think I'm happier with that side profile now. It's definitely a little odder. More odd, weirder. Let's give it a... I think I may want to add a little bit more to the front lip as well. One of the funnest things is just continuing to build onto it and letting it kind of tell you where it wants to be, what this creature wants to be. As long as I don't accidentally shove my thumb into stuff and screw it all up. Again, just some more water to help smooth it out, blend it in. Okay, tongue, you stay there. Don't let my fingers get in the way and mess you up. Okay, now since it's still a little wet, I'm going to just pull this in, blend it a little bit more, make it feel like it was part of it from the get-go. There we go. All right, yeah, I like that better. I like the kind of slightly pointed lip in the front. Now I can feel good moving forward with getting deep down into the lower neck area, this part of the chin, the bottom left-hand, right-hand side of the jaw. All right, now is when it starts to get tricky, because this is soft, this is soft, this is soft. This one's even leaning a little bit. Now I need to be conscious of where I grab onto, because I'm always trying to grab onto something to secure myself and make sure that I'm applying pressure where I want to so that I can press the Magic Sculpt in. So today, I'm not going to do any more on this part. If I do any more in there, I'm going to screw something up. Remind me of that, friends. Just adding a little more there to build it out a bit. Again, gonna add that texture to it like we have throughout the rest of this creature so that it feels consistent. We'll have to do it underneath as well, just so it's consistent, especially if somebody were to hang this up on the wall higher, you want to make sure every piece of it looks finished. Going to do a little bit along this this side jaw. Just going to do a little bit. I don't need to put a lot of Magic Sculpt on here. It's already got a good foundation. I just need to do enough to be able to texture it up. What you use to texture your creatures? A variety of things. I have a couple of rocks from an old yard of mine that I use a lot. I use some texture maps that I get from thrift stores, or not thrift stores, from craft stores like Michael's. I have a dandy noser, which is used for taxidermy for deer noses. I have a really small one for fish scales that you just kind of roller. I've used things like crinkled up aluminum foil. Sometimes one of my favorite tricks for straight lines is I'll get dental floss and I'll do it like that and like that, especially if I'm trying to do any sort of weird geometric type stuff, which is not my forte. Organic is far more forgiving than that sort of stuff. Then I need to regularly clean my tools because I end up allowing Magic Sculpt to build up on them, and that's not healthy for it. I just have to get an X-Acto blade and start carving it off. One of those rollers. Yeah, got it at a taxidermy show. Totally. That's how I started making my larger sculptures. I was doing custom toys, and this guy, Sket1, who's in the vinyl toy scene said I needed to start using Magic Sculpt, and I had to order it from a taxidermy shop back in 2007-ish. And then that's when they sent me a catalog with all their cool stuff. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna order weird stuff and make my stuff even more strange. Bike tires? Ooh, that's cool. I like the idea of that. Cutting carbon textures into that. I've never tried that. That's fun. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. If we were ever in the same place for a long period of time, Eric, I think we would make some cool, weird shit together. Water again, spritz it up, give it some grooves. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Bike tires if you control it in small pieces. Okay, cool. Okay, pretty happy with what we're doing right now. So now it's really starting to do stuff right around here around the eyes, doing stuff off the back. I don't know if I'm gonna get those giant spikes that I had in my initial sketch concept. I think that's gonna be out of the question for this, mainly because now, like, this is how far back it can go if I want it to mount to the thing. We absolutely love it. Yeah. Now I'm just going to sculpt and see where it takes me, because since I know it's not going to be exactly like the original sketch concept, I'm just going to do some weird stuff and see what happens. What's up, Jason? How much of the creature do you envision before you get started? I always allow it to change along the way, but this is what I had drawn in one of my sketchbooks. It's not quite exactly what it is. I added more eyes because I tend to always add more eyes. I mentioned yesterday that when I was a child, one of my friend's uncles called me Brother Weak Eyes, and from that I think is why I tend to put so many eyes into so many things, so that they can never really have weak eyes. If you've got strength in numbers anyway. I wear contacts, so my glasses are thick, as I've been wearing glasses since I was in 4th grade. Okay, I'm going to smooth that down and see where it goes. I think I need to come in from underneath so that I don't fold the cardboard too much that it's being built on. Has a catfish vibe? Yes, it does. I knew it was having that kind of weird aquatic type thing, but I think that could be... I'm also running a pirate board campaign right now for my kids and one of their friends and their friends' parents, and definitely having some Deep One-esque stuff in there, so I think that's probably maybe was influencing the drawing and the sculpting yesterday, because I was kind of thinking about last night's game as we were getting into it, and ended up putting like this big weird ass kaiju in the lagoon. got to get it up in here and get into the areas that are still just kind of cardboard underneath to reinforce it, give it the strength, and start to build out the shape that this would be, so it's not just super flat. Dagammit, are you going to be running anything this next Wednesday at RPG night? I'll be back on my regular Vast-Grim game since it's the first of the month. Spraying it with some water to smooth it out. And then soon we'll start adding some details and stuff and building stuff out a little more. Shadow Dark, excellent. Is that what you ran last game while I was in Boston? Or yes? Or Gary Con? I can't remember which one that was. I cannot talk to you. I'm on a video call. Hang on. I'm gonna build out like a ridge around these, I think. I do not like that as much as I thought I would. I'm going to smooth that down. But that is the magic of the Magic Sculpt. Just blend it in. Ah, excellent. Very cool. I like the idea of the Overland Hex random dungeons and encounters. I think that'd be fun. Have to bring you patches. So at the Shadow Dark booth, I told them about our game night, and they gave me some patches for both you and the players. And next year, I'm going to remember, I didn't think about it, next year I'm going to get D20s for everybody at game night and get them blessed in Lake Geneva and on Gary's Stone. I thought about it, but I was already like an hour and a half outside of Lake Geneva on my way to Boston. I think this is starting to feel pretty right as to what I want. Out of what I want in a monster in my life. Whoopsies. Again, with the soft, pliable stuff, I gotta watch my fat hands. What are you? Are you a chopstick? Huh. Well, this side is close to done. I gotta get this spiky. Then we'll go to the other side. Then maybe reinforce some stuff underneath. But I think this critter's gonna be done before I know it. Hey Brian, hope you're well. Hey Vinny, what's happening, man? Hope things are going well with you too. Things are pretty awesome here. Lots of conventions, writing, creating, all the things I love. Oh, that would be rad. Yes, if you made the D20s, hell yeah. Yeah, let's plan for that for next year, because I'm definitely going back to Gary Con next year. It's such a enjoyable time. And then I'm just gonna, as I continue to add more Magic Sculpt to this, just gonna add textures as I go since we're getting so close to being done with this beastie. Happy with the side profile from there, turning it around. Rah! The tentacle tongues are working out. I've got a little bit of fray here. Got it? A little bit of fray here. What are you? Oh, I bet that's some of the cardboard sticking through. It is. I gotta give it a little zhuzh right under here. There's a crack where I did 2 pairings of the Magic Sculpt, and the cardboard armature underneath snuck through a little bit. I just did not cover it up, so I'm just gonna do a little coil, spray it with some water, blend it in, and nobody, except you who's watching, will be the wiser. Now we got some spiky spikes on this side to do, then some reinforcement underneath. I may have mixed up too much Magic Sculpt. Don't know. But is that coming down more? No? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, gonna put some of these spikies in. And yesterday, it was suggested that he have 6 eyes, but missing 1. Anything, I'll start making some extra D20 molds. Probably print a special master for them with some sort of image. Oh, hell yeah. I think that would be fantastic. Ooh, we should maybe make a, should you do like a local ties or some sort of Carrollton's, like, I don't know. Since it's the RPG night there, should it be something relating to that? Vinny, what's been going on with you lately? I'm looking forward to getting to see you at Gen Con. Got to make sure I can't come off here much at all, or I'm going to run out. It's going to bash into the plaque, whatever I make for that. Just continuing to add these spiky bits so we can finish this creature out. Then I'll have to work on lore for this thing. I don't know if that'll come before or after I paint it up. Let's go ahead and add some lines up in here. If you look at a lot of my sculptures, many of them have lines like this. It's pretty standard fare for my sculpts. Except the ones over here, these are not the same. Need to fix that a little bit. I have these kind of coming up in almost a slight ridge. A little more of a, it's soft here. Told you guys to warn me. Don't stick my fat hand in things. Sam, excited to see you. Work is keeping you busy. Awesome. Glad things are great in your world. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it about the sculpture being rad. I'm just happy to be doing some sculpting. I needed it. Oh yeah, something simple, of course. Yeah, something simple, always. Especially with the small base of the D20. D20s are always one of the hardest ones to get the design into because they're so intricate. Maybe some translucent skin over to get depth. Ooh, interesting. Now you're getting crazy. I haven't messed with like silicone or anything like that before, but it's probably about time I got added more uh, tools to my arsenal. I think at some point I should probably go and take some special effects classes just so it's not just all self-taught stuff. Another way to get it to look shiny is to do a gloss finish on certain parts, but then do a matte finish on others. It won't have the same thing as a translucent appearance, but it still gives. Yeah, silicone. I've only messed with silicone molds. I've never messed with anything for like mask making or things like that. I do enjoy making molds, except problem is I'm so sloppy when I art, and I just get shit everywhere. So now there's still some pieces of cardboard that you can see come, well, maybe not with the lighting, but there's still cardboard that you can see through there. So I want to solve that, get that fixed up, a little bit of a aluminum foil. Oh, and I forgot I need to get a little layer of texture underneath. Silicone, or there's SF gel you can paint on. It's like a thin clear membrane. Ooh, I need to look into that. That sounds nice and creepy. Going to get these on, then we're going to go underneath the neck so that I can get texture down there, because that is definitely more important than what's going on back here for right now. Because really back here, I know I say it's good to get all the areas because you never know what people will see, but this area, especially once it's up against a plaque, nobody will see inside there. Prioritize the craft, the room can be cleaned later. You are not wrong. He's starting to get a little heavy. I like it. Hopefully the screws are still in okay. So with this, I'm just kind of holding it back. I'm going to flatten out this magic sculpt kind of like a pancake or like some little pizza dough. Ooh, sticking a little too much. Been getting into mini painting. Excellent. Fantastic. I cannot paint that small. I'm just way too sloppy. I've tried, and I'm just not good at it. I need my stuff bigger and allow it to have a more expressionistic paint style where you see brush strokes and stuff. Again, my creative way of saying sloppy. What I'm doing here is mainly just putting a layer on so that I can add texture to it, because what's on here is already hardened. I did the base of this yesterday to give it form and structure so that we would be able to keep sculpting on top of it. Set him down for a sec. Ka-clunk. Uh-oh, I think I'm bending his chin a little bit. Need to be mindful of that one as well. Then when I end up priming this, I'll put painter's tape over the eyeballs, cut it out with some X-Acto blades, make sure it's nice and clean on there so I don't paint over the eyeballs. Luckily that's glass, so it can be scraped off pretty easily. Potential spam. Okay, I think we're ready to spray this, blend it in, get some texture up in here, maybe smooth in some weird grooves. I don't enjoy holding it for long periods of time like this, but sometimes you need to just to get the right angles to be able to make it work. And with this, I'm going to press my thumb down to give it strange lines, stuff that just makes it feel a little more natural, not just super flat. Ooh, pressing a little too hard. Gonna pop it off the screws. Don't want that. And then with the texture map, just gonna start jamming some texture down on here. This thing needs to be cleaned out pretty good so it'll get slightly deeper grooves and dents in it, because the deeper the dents, the faster and easier it is to throw the paint down on it. All right. Oh, I know what that is. That's the stuff in there is from the other Magic Sculpt peeling off of it and getting into it. So here we go. I think we've got this guy pretty much done. I'm gonna let it cure, prime it, paint it all sorts of weird neon-y, maybe space punk colors, maybe something else, I don't know. We'll see. Anybody have any questions as I get ready to wrap up this today's adventure? Definitely need to wipe down my table. Need to go up and get some cleaner and some paper towels from the house. Do you go into a sculpt generally with an idea for the creature? A lot of the time, yes. And so this didn't end up exactly as I envisioned it, but seeing a side profile-ish here, and then here up in the camera, that's the concept sketch. I started printing out these little notebooks on my printer that go into my, oh, I got that all messy, on my battle binder, and so I'll do like little weird sketches in here and just do stuff while I'm sitting at the bar hanging out. Write down, like, this is the initial stuff for a Vast Grimm comic book manuscript for like a mini-series or graphic novel arc. So yes, I do have ideas usually. Sometimes I go in just blind and just start sculpting. But this one, I had that rough idea, then I built out a cardboard armature for it, and then started adding to it from there. A little bit of aluminum foil, mostly Magic Sculpt. Well, I don't know when I'm going to sculpt again. This has not been a regular thing, but I want to bring it back. With me going out of town again next week, I don't think any sculpting will happen next week. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll see. Or maybe I'll stream painting this, I don't know. Thank you all for jumping in, keeping me company, and chatting. I hope that I see most of you again in the very near future in person, because I love seeing my friends. And for those that may be watching that haven't chimed in or may watch it later, I hope our paths cross in the future in a show. You can see more of my weird stuff at creaturecuration.com, the link down in the thing. Yeah, all right. Have a great day, everybody. It was good hanging.